Well, today is wrap-up day. It's a bittersweet day for me. We're going to say goodbye to some old friends and get prepared to meet some new ones. Before we get into this week's episode or this month's episode, um, let's catch up on what had happened in our last episode. Last episode, Frannie figured out that the true culprit behind the Copper Cliffs car crash was Thomas Ford Cross, and after learning that Louis Vanzetti was the last person Ashley spoke to before she died, Frannie thought she was closing in on the killer. But just as all the pieces were falling into place, Louis was found dead in his apartment. With more people showing up dead, Frannie needs to learn the true identity of the killer before it is too late. And that is where we begin this episode. So let's get into the box. Starting, as always, with the person who hired us is their letter of the month. Hey there, ever since Louis' death, I've been laying low. I'm convinced I'm next. I go to work and I'm constantly turning around to watch for anyone coming behind me. I change my route every day. When I'm done, I come straight home. Reggie does the same. We stay in, except to get food. I hate the thought that maybe we got someone else killed. When we thought Louis was the killer, all I wanted was to see him punished, and then moments later he really was dead, and we still didn't have justice for Ashley. I feel guilty, and maybe we led the killer to him, but how? Reggie reminds me not to blame myself, and they're right, but it still weighs on me. I don't regret starting this investigation. We've discovered so much that needed to be brought to light, and no one else was going to get justice for Ashley if we didn't try. I just don't think investigating and telling people the truth would ever result in someone else's death. I mean, that could have been me or Reggie or even you. It wasn't going to be me. I'm way out of town. I am in the clear. Because I've updated the blog since Louis died, if the killer's goal was to silence the person posting there, they know they failed. They know that Louis wasn't the anonymous blogger, and they're still out there looking for us. So we better find them quick. I also can't believe I dragged Reggie into this mess. If anything happens to them, I really don't know how I'll handle it. Reggie just wants to understand closure. Reggie just wants understanding, closure. I know I really couldn't have done a lot without them, but I worry I shouldn't have involved them. I shouldn't have moved in with them. Scared for my own skin. Now I am more scared for theirs. I can't let Mr. and Mrs. Mendoza lose another kid. I won't let that happen. The work I've done so far has narrowed the scope of the investigation down to 3 suspects: Harold, Kim, and TFC. With the suspect pool in mind, I've glued myself to my computer, diving into every secure system that might be hiding some useful information. Here's what I've come up with. I went through the CCPD's database and managed to pull some of the paperwork on the investigation into Louis's death. The MO is definitely similar to Ashley's murder because fentanyl showed up again. I took the liberty of hacking into the city's controlled substance database to pull the records of the town's distribution of fentanyl through the week of Ashley's death. That's not the only government database I hit either. I also managed to pull our primary suspect's fingerprints from the town's records on municipal employees. In addition to that, I popped back into Judith's email account and found some stills from the documentary Kim mentioned in the text log I sent you last time. These stills are full of images that were taken throughout the week of Ashley's murder. I also found a pretty heated exchange between Harold and Judith. I've included that as well for you. Might speak to Harold's current state of mind. I feel like we're moving towards a resolution one way or another. With only 3 suspects, we should be able to ID the killer, so I am sending you something more personally significant rather than significant to the case, in hopes it brings you some good luck. The last thing I'm sending you is a sealed envelope. I won't say much about it except that I forbid you to open it. I repeat, do not open unless I say so. Unless you get a message from me that tells you otherwise. I know you're a detective and all, and that telling you not to open it will probably make you want to open it even more, but I promise that it's not directly relevant to the investigation. It's more of a contingency. It would also be embarrassing if it turned out I didn't need to send it after all, but I worried that I did. Once you think you know who the killer is, send me their full name over the KeepSafe app. We'll work together from there. Talk to you soon, Frannie. And then at the bottom, again, is another cipher. This is the third box in a row that Frannie has sent us a cipher. So Frannie's letter, she sent us some things. She sounds nervous. She's worried for her and she's worried for Reggie. Once again, she's writing all over the letters, which I don't understand, but we'll get into that later. So the next thing to take a look at is our letter from Reggie. Hi, Detective. The past few days and weeks have been tough. I'm terrified. We're terrified. There's a killer on the loose, and it seems no one is doing anything. What happened to Lewis can happen to us, and Frannie and I both know it. I'm exhausted. I just want the murderer to be caught. I just want this to be over for all our sakes. Frannie said she was going to send you a present to thank you, which I thought was a great idea. So here's one from me, too. When I had time, I used to like making resin flower knickknacks in the back of my parents' flower shop. This one's an aster, which signifies love and wisdom. It's a hardy little flower, but it does best in full light. It remains one of Ashley. It reminds me of Ashley. I hope it will remind you of us. I'd also like you to have one more thing. On Ashley's behalf, it's a quill pen I gave her when she went independent. She was so proud of standing on her own and doing work that wasn't beholden to a big corporation. I think she'd want you to have it. I think she'd admire your determination and conviction. And, really, it's the least I can do to thank you for continuing the work Ashley started. Frannie thinks we're moving towards some sort of end game. I hope she's right, but I'm not sure. If you can do it, if you can find justice for Ash, then it will be like she's back with us. This will all have been worth it. Be safe, Reggie. And then on the back is a picture. It's a good picture. Apparently Reggie is a good artist. Actually, of all the pictures that Reggie has sent us, this one happens to be my favorite. I don't know why. I think the bird looks really good. But anyhow, that is beside the point. So Reggie is also a little nervous, wants to get this over with, and we're going to do our best to get that done for them. So the next thing we come to is this digital evidentiary scan. And this is a note that was found in Lewis' apartment. Read this twice, then destroy it. You win, Lewis. Out of the handful of living people who know what happened that night, you're officially the weakest link. Bravo. I've done my best to ignore the stunts you've been pulling with the blog, but you've made it clear to me that you're not bluffing. Don't insult my intelligence by trying to deny that you're the one writing those posts. At such a critical moment, you're the only person in the know who has threatened to make this go public and the only one demanding pay to keep it silent. I thought we had a deal. Regardless, you're about to gain something quite significant for keeping quiet. I'm going to give you everything you've been asking for, Lewis. I've got a suitcase with your name on it, with enough cash in it to shut you up for good. $1.5 million. After this, we're through. The transaction is over. Before you get greedy, consider that the reporter never got so lucrative an offer. I'll be at your apartment tonight at 8 with the cash. Be there tonight. Be gone by morning and never come back. So, all along, I guess I'd been wondering what Lewis's incentive was to take the fall, not only for Harold, but now we've learned for TFC also. And clearly the incentive was a big pile of cash if he followed through. But also clearly, whoever had offered him the money, be it TFC or Harold, had not been following through with their end of the bargain, which had Lewis frustrated. So that was found in the apartment. Then we get to Lewis's autopsy. And I don't want to read the whole entire thing. I don't think we need to read the whole entire thing. I think as long as we hit some highlights, that's all that matters. So the anatomic findings. Well, the autopsy was done at 4:54 p.m. And that kind of is important. Deceased adult male in state of fixed rigor. Wait, sorry, my mouse is in my way. In state of fixed rigor mortis, which suggests that the death took place approximately 21 hours before time of examination. So 4:54, this was typed. 21 hours before that would have been now my math is. So 4:54, 24 hours before that would have been 4:54 minus 3 or plus 3, depending on how you want to look at it, would have been like 7:54. So right around 8 p.m. is when Lewis was killed. Lividity through the anterior plane of the victim's body suggests that the victim died while lying on his front. Paramortem bruising and 9 puncture wounds present on the right anticular on the right antecubital area, both consistent with intravenous drug use. I am not good with medical terms. I apologize. It takes me a minute because I want it to be one word, and so I say that word, and it turns out that it's not that word. Anyhow, paramortem blunt force trauma to the left side of the skull, which likely contributed to, though did not cause, the decedent's death. So Lewis was apparently hit in the head and then injected. I don't know if he was injected 9 times with fentanyl, or if they wanted to make it look like he was a chronic drug user, so they made 9 punctures in him to make it look like he had been injecting for a minute. Cause of death. From the anatomic findings and pertinent history, I ascribe the cause of death as cerebral hypoxia, a lack of oxygen to the brain, due to or as consequences of suppression of unconscious breathing regulation, due to or as a consequence of opioid overdose. And then the list of clothing: pair of white socks, small tear in heel area of right sock, pair of blue jeans, pair of red boxer shorts, protein bar found in right pocket, black leather wallet found in left pocket, Arizona driver's license found in wallet, debit card found in wallet, customer rewards card to the bagel hole found in wallet, $23.30 in bills and change found in wallet, Copper Cliffs Canaries t-shirt, gold necklace with attached crucifix pendant, and rubber tube 3 feet in length found tied around right bicep. And then to look at the circumstantial summary, the decedent was a 34-year-old African-American male, who was last seen alive by his employer at 6 p.m. Tuesday evening. He was found by his housemaid, who possessed a key to the apartment, shortly after 10 a.m. this morning. His body was discovered face down in the front hallway of the apartment, 3 feet from the front door. He was wearing the clothing listed under clothing and valuables. An empty syringe was found in the room, and 9 puncture wounds surrounded by a paramortem bruising were found on the inside of the right elbow. Alongside the presence of a partial fingerprint and powdered latex residue, a paramortem blunt force injury was also found on the victim's skull. The presence of the partial fingerprint, which does not match the victim, alongside the skull injury, the shape and the position of which does not seem to match any of the items or pieces of furniture in the victim's apartment, suggests that another person was present either or immediately before the time of death. This additional person likely either aided the victim's intravenous drug use, caused the blunt force trauma to the victim's head, or both. It is currently unclear whether the death was an accidental overdose or was a premeditated homicide. Further investigation on the part of the CCPD is warranted. Documents and evidence examined. Telephone conversation with Eric Skinner, Copper Cliffs police officer. Identification. The victim's wallet, which was found on his person, contained a state-issued ID that confirmed the identity. Additionally, both the victim's housekeeper and his employer independently confirmed the victim's identity. So that's all information that's good to know. then I'm going to read the notes from the second page. I don't think we need to go. Actually, no, I'm going to read this just because I want to mention it. The decedent was a well-developed and well-nourished African-American male. The body's length is 6 feet 3 inches from crown to sole, and its weight is 300 pounds. There's a slight blue discoloration in the lips and skin and heavy dilation of the pupils, both symptoms consistent with opioid overdose. There is a tattoo on the body's proximal left pectoral area that reads Psalm 69:33. There is healed scar tissue present on the superior dorsum to the left distal abdominal area and the right proximal crural area. The injuries associated with these scars have healed entirely and did not contribute to the cause of death. There are gold fillings present in the lower left second bicuspid and the upper right first molar. And then in the notes, taking into account the nature of the lividity and rigor mortis, time of death can be placed at approximately 8 p.m. the night before the body was discovered. 8 p.m., that's an important time to remember. Toxicology, discussed further in the internal examination section of the report, found that a fatal dosage of fentanyl was present in the bloodstream. Because the drug was able to travel through the bloodstream, it could be concluded that the heart was beating at the time of injection. Ergo, the injection was administered prior to death. Similarly, inflammation of the subcutaneous tissue that surrounds both bruising to the cranium and the bruising to the inner elbow suggests that both injuries took place immediately prior to death. Although it is difficult to determine what the certainty which injury occurred first, however, what is certain is that all of the injuries sustained prior to death were sustained in quick succession within a period of several minutes. There are no post-mortem injuries to the body and no evidence of significant natural disease processes. The victim was struck on the head with a blunt object and injected with fentanyl by an unknown source. The combination of the two factors would have caused a loss of consciousness prior to death, although it is possible that, due to his large mass, the victim remained disoriented for 1 to 2 minutes before the narcotic effect fully set in. In those moments, the victim may have crawled towards the apartment's front door, losing consciousness before he could reach it. That would explain the disparity between the posturing of the body in the front hallway and the location of the empty syringe near the living room couch. And then once again, time of death, body temperature taken at the scene, and rigor and livor mortis approximate the time of death to be about 8 p.m. So we know that he died at 8. We know he was probably hit in the head to kind of stun him. And then while he was disoriented, he was injected once, 9 times. I'm still not sure what the deal is with the 9 injections. But we know that he was injected and that's when he died of the overdose. Looking at the diagram here, I mean, we've been through everything that's on here. The only thing that I want to make note of, because it's going to come up again, is the partial fingerprint, because we're going to take a closer look at that in a little bit. And then the internal examination, none of that is really relevant. We've gotten the full story. He was hit in the head, he was injected, he passed away, and there's nothing that we're going to get from going through that or looking at what's written on the marks and wounds page. Nothing else is going to advance our investigation. It's just going to be time filler. So then we have a police statement taken by Eric Skinner from the crime scene at Louis Vanzetti. At 10:08 p.m., dispatch received a call reporting the discovery of the body of Mr. Louis Vanzetti in apartment 304 of the Marinus apartment complex. Caller identified herself as Michaela Wallace, a housekeeper employed by Mr. Vanzetti, the apartment's resident. I was dispatched and arrived on scene at 10:35. Ms. Wallace led me inside. Ms. Wallace noted that she cleaned Mr. Vanzetti's residence every Wednesday morning and that she saw Mr. Vanzetti's body as soon as she arrived that morning. Ms. Wallace claimed that she did not touch the body or any items in the apartment. Mr. Vanzetti's body lay in the front hallway and was clear from his stiff and unnatural posture that he was deceased. I called the medical examiner and began to process the scene. I discovered multiple puncture marks on his right forearm and an empty syringe on the ground in the living room, near the couch. Additionally, I discovered a note near the body that made mention of a meeting and a significant amount of money. This discovery, paired with that of the needle, suggests a narcotics or bribery connection. You are way off, deputy. Well, maybe. Well, no, not bribery. Blackmail, not bribery. As the scene was being processed, dispatch attempted to find any next of kin to contact, but were unsuccessful. I took the initiative and called Harold Richards, as I knew to be Mr. Vanzetti's employer. He responded to the news of Mr. Vanzetti's death with distress, and then noted that he had last seen Mr. Vanzetti at the campaign office at approximately 6 p.m. the previous night. Mr. Richards said that he left Mr. Vanzetti to plan a campaign event alone. Mr. Richards noticed that the event Mr. Vanzetti was coordinating had been a debate between Mr. Richards and Mayor Cross, and that Mr. Vanzetti may have been in contact with Mr. Cross's office last night. I called Mr. Cross's office and spoke to Miss Kim Barton, who said she stopped by Mr. Richards' office at noon on Tuesday, the prior day, to discover that Mr. Vanzetti, prior day to discovering Mr. Vanzetti's remains, to drop off paperwork on behalf of her employer, but that she did not see Mr. Vanzetti as he was out of the office. I asked to speak to Mayor Cross, and Mrs. Barton conferenced him into the call. Mr. Cross said that he spent Tuesday playing racquetball and meeting donors at the Copper Cliffs Country Club before returning home by himself. The victim's belongings will be marked and bagged as evidence following a routine autopsy. So, from the statement, we know that's where we learned that that note had been found in Lewis's apartment. Once again, nothing else out of the ordinary or unusual in the statement that we didn't already know from the autopsy. But I just wanted to present how we know that the note, or how we learned about the note. So after this, we switch over to the emails that Frannie had talked about getting from Judith's account. Judy, could you please swing by the office later this afternoon to stuff some envelopes with me? Volunteers fell through. Love, Harry. Harold, are you kidding me? I put everything on the line for this campaign. Everything. My contacts, our money, our private life, and you flush it all away covering up your dalliances, your buddy, and the opposing... Covering up your dalliances, your buddy, and the opposing candidate? And now you want me to stuff some damn envelopes? I'm done forcing smiles for you. I'm done keeping your campaign afloat. This boat would have sunk ages ago if it wasn't for me, and I am done. This is over. When this is over, this is over. Got it? And then Harold says, Judy, you're right. You're the backbone of my life in this campaign. You've been single-handedly pulling us out of these messes that I get us into, and I'm grateful for that. I know that what I did with the campaign funds was wrong, but I needed to keep Beatrice quiet. After the election was over, the money was going to stop. I swear that on my father's grave. I'm sorry that I lied. I'm sorry that I cheated. You never should have had to deal with either. If you give me until the end of the election, I can turn this around for us. Whoever is posting on that blog is taking care of Thomas. If I can show I'm not as bad as him, I think I can win this thing. I know you're at your breaking point. We just need to push through a little while longer. As soon as the election is over, we'll work out something special for you. Until then, please show me a little more patience, even if I don't deserve it. I'll make it up to you, I swear. I can't stand the thought of losing you. All my love, H. I'll wait until election day. But we both know that you're not going to win. I hope you don't. You're a selfish, lazy, entitled brat who would be just as bad for CC as TFC is. Being the mayor is not what you need. What you need is to be a good husband and father. We can talk more when you get home. If you really want to make an impression on me that you're willing to change, then for once you'll help Jude and Harriet with their homework, run the dishwasher, and finally fix the damn clock in the study. After all these months, it's still 2 hours fast. So, finally, Judith has had enough with the affair, with Lewis, with all that drama, with the election, with everything. Judith is just done. She's at her breaking point. Which then brings us to... Oops, wrong button. Ha. Which then brings us to the still shots and the shot list from the week that Ashley was murdered. And so going through here, you know, what are we looking at? What do we need to find? Well, let's take a look at the day Ashley died, which we know was a Wednesday. So shot number 2 was just Kim on the phone Wednesday. Shot number 4 is just TFC outside, walking around. Shot number 6, however, is Harry sitting in his study on Wednesday. And if we take a closer look on the desk at the clock that's not working, and I realize that this blow up is bad, but you'll see the clock says 10 o'clock. Like, and so we know from the emails that clock is 2 hours fast. That if that clock says 10 o'clock, it's actually 8 o'clock. And we also know that Ashley was killed sometime in the minutes right before and right after 8 o'clock on this very night. So what this does is it eliminates Harold, because at 8 o'clock, Harold was sitting at his desk in his study with a camera crew getting a picture taken at the time that Ashley was being killed in the library. So this picture right here actually does a favor for Harold and knocks him right out of the running as far as being guilty of being murder. So now that just leaves us with TFC and Kim Barton. So now we go to the Copper Cliffs Controlled Substances database. And so I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't get out of this. So let me first say, what I do is I go through these boxes, I do my investigation, I do my little research, I solve the mystery, and then once I've input all the information, once I've got the mystery completely 100% solved, I go to the hints website and I look at the hints to see what I missed. To see, I don't get hints for the investigation itself, but I get the hints after to see if I missed anything that they were trying to point out that I overlooked. And they're telling me that on Wednesday, that looking at this chart, oh, wait a minute. Do I see it now? No, it still doesn't make sense. They're trying to tell me on Wednesday that by looking at this chart, you can tell that some fentanyl is missing. I can't tell. So maybe I could. So if you look at Wednesday morning, TJ's drugstore, they were distributed 60 bottles of fentanyl. Before they had 150 in stock in the city. The drugstore was issued 60, which left 90. And then Center for Convalescence was issued 5 milliliters, and that left 76. Oh, I see what they wanted. Okay, so where it says 2,500 micrograms is 50 milliliters. So I don't know if we're supposed to do math. Anyhow, what the hint said was that there's fentanyl missing. I don't understand how they derived that from looking at this. I'm not getting a direct correlation to amount being distributed and total units in stock. Like, I just don't see that. If you would look at Center Wednesday at 3:35, Center for Convalescents used 1, and that left 20. But then at 7:12, Charity Hospital used 1, and that left 32. Like, I don't understand what. I mean, please somebody explain it to me. Somebody tell me what I'm doing, because I'd like to know what I'm missing or how I'm doing it wrong. Anyhow, so what I want to point out to everybody is that on this patient list being issued fentanyl, now not on Wednesday, not the day that Ashley died, but the week that Ashley died. And I'm looking for it, and now Tuesday, Center for Convalescents, 12/13, Dr. Tara Williams gave a fentanyl patch to Miranda Barton. So what that tells us here, and we knew this from the first week. Kim Barton had a relative at the Center for Convalescents. So Kim Barton frequented the Center for Convalescents. So that's important to know as we're getting to the conclusion of this, is that Kim had cause to be at the Center for Convalescents. I don't know about the missing fentanyl. I just don't see it. I don't understand how this is supposed to read. But that's on me for just, I guess, not being smart enough to understand what this sheet is telling me. But more importantly, the fingerprints. So we have the fingerprints that all city employees have to get, and they're held at City Hall. So looking at the fingerprints, we know that Harold we've eliminated completely, so his fingerprints don't matter. So we're already down to TFC and Kim, and I went into this with after having looked at the previous thing, and I'd already had my mind made up that it was Kim Barton. I'll be honest. I went into this and I'm like, it's Kim. She's the only one that would have been hanging out at the Center for Convalescents and not been suspicious. You wouldn't see TFC or Harold walking around there. They don't have any relatives there. That would have been like a red flag, like, hey, what are you doing here, kind of thing. So going into this, I already chose that Kim was the one. So then we get to Kim's and Thomas's fingerprint. And looking at them, Thomas's fingerprints, the ones that you can see, don't really have the same kind of pattern going on as the partial that we got. And so looking closer, I noticed that Kim's right index was almost the same kind of pattern thing as opposed to TFC's right index, which doesn't really have that, I don't even know what I want to call the pattern, like the spirally looking pattern. So in my mind, it looked to me from this point that the fingerprint was an exact match for Kim, and that Kim is definitely our murderer. Now, if you hang on, I am going to switch over to the desktop so that we can get into the messaging and database system. So give me 2 seconds. So getting here into KeepSafe, open up the messenger, and we see a message as we get in from Frannie on a coffee bender to catch up at work and trying to catch a killer. Been a rough week. If you send me the full name of whoever killed Ashley and Lewis, once you figured it out, we can figure out the next steps from there. Good luck. And so I sent her Kim Barton. Whoa, Kim, really? Let's think this through. TFC had been paying for her mom's treatment, so if Kim found out that Ashley was about to ruin TFC's career by exposing him as the real cause of the car crash, then the payments stop. But why Lewis? I guess she thought that Lewis was going to expose TFC too. Despite the payoffs, they were both putting her mom's treatment at risk by putting TFC's source of income at risk. Yeah, I guess that tracks. But there's two problems. One, all of the evidence against Kim is pretty circumstantial. Even the prints found on both corpses were only partial. And two, so apparently, and I missed this, I didn't even think to go back and look. Apparently there's a partial fingerprint in Ashley's autopsy too. I completely missed that. Kim is way too good of a lawyer to let herself be convicted on circumstantial evidence alone, and that's all if we're even correct. Okay. I've got an idea. There's nobody in the office right now. They all went out for drinks. What if I looked through Kim's desk? There might be something in there that could help us figure out her personal password. It certainly worked with Judith, and maybe if we snoop around in Kim's personal accounts, we can find a smoking gun somewhere, or a dripping needle, I guess. I can just take pictures of whatever's inside the desk instead of taking anything. That way she'll never know I was there. Hold on a minute. And then we get a series of pictures. So this is the first picture. Notice of debt collection. Please remit payment immediately. Total due $175,406. Despite our previous reminders, the above balance remains unpaid. The total due above is marked unpaid on the Center for Convalescence Records and sent to us for collection. We would appreciate it if you would inquire about the status of this payment. So clearly Kim is behind on payments. I thought TFC was paying for it. Maybe this is old, or maybe TFC paying Lewis can't afford to pay Kim. So I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, Kim owes the Center for Convalescence $175,000. That's not good. So then photo 2, oh, look at that. Fentanyl and insulin needles. And then purchase contract. This offer to purchase the property is in accordance with all previously stated terms and conditions, as outlined in this agreement, including in any supplemental addendum or other amendment. Counteroffer is required if either party fails to meet the terms stated in this agreement for any reason. King Street, Copper Cliffs, AZ. Upon completion of the sale of the property, in addition to agreed upon purchase price, the buyer, Valdivan, shall pay the following: $250,000 to Miranda Barton for consultancy services rendered pursuant to purchase, $250,000 to Thaddeus Fortunatus Cross for consultancy services rendered pursuant to purchase. Okay, so Valdivan is buying some property in Copper Cliffs, and they're going to pay off Kim's mom's back due bill by giving her $250,000, and they're also going to give TFC $250,000 for their contribution, for their consulting to the purchase. So that's how Kim's going to get that debt paid off. So clearly she cannot afford for TFC to go away. And then picture 3 is rubber gloves, a hole punch. I don't know if that's just there, if that's something I missed. But rubber gloves, the fentanyl, the syringes. So yes, clearly Kim Barton is to blame. Oh shit, I hear something. I'm going live. I'll set the video to save automatically in case we get a confession. 1 second. And then automated message. I've got some bad news for you. If you're reading this, I'm probably dead. Ever since the killer sent me that message, I've been preparing just in case. I set up my phone to send you this message if I don't input a password at regular intervals. Clearly, my doom prep was justified. If this message is sent, it contacts local police and then sends them to my location. But it might be too late for them to do anything. I'm assuming that if I'm dead, it means that the killer is still out there. And no one but us knows who they are yet. I'm giving you access to Ashley's blog so that you can update upload conclusive proof to the killer's identity to the blog for all of Coppercliffs to see. We can't let Ashley's work and our work go to waste. To find the blog's password, you'll need a few things. This message, the sealed envelope I sent you, and the code I included in the 3 of my recent letters. Open the sealed envelope and read the instructions very carefully. You're going to need to apply those instructions to the last 3 letters I've written you during this investigation. When you figured out the password, go to Ashley's blog, go to the upload page on the blog and log in. Upload my relevant files from Keep Safe to the blog. Goodbye, detective, and thank you for your help. We made a pretty good team, if I do say so myself. Now get to work and finish what Ashley started. P.S. Reggie's getting one of these messages right now, too. Their message will send them my last recorded GPS location and tell them to send the CCPD to that address. Just in case, I'll also tell them to find a safe place to hide and stay there until the killer is apprehended. If the killer is looking to eliminate all those loose ends, then Reggie's life is in just as much danger as mine. Please make sure that Reggie doesn't go out like I did. Okay, so the link there, but we have got to figure out the Keep Safe Pro password. Or not Keep Safe Pro, but the blog password. So to do that, we had to open the envelope. Don't open until you get my say-so over Keep Safe. Hopefully it won't come to that. F. Hi there. If you've opened this letter, then either you're terrible at following instructions or something very, very bad has happened. Excuse me, I have hiccups. For my sake, I hope it's the first thing. But if it's the second thing, you should know what to do with the nonsense I'm about to write below. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, then just focus on finding the killer. They're probably my killer too. But if you do, then Godspeed, Frannie. And then she gives us the key. Square means 2 forward, 1 back, repeat. Star means -1 to all, and then unscramble. And a circle means every other. So taking that into consideration, and looking at the letters or the codes that she sent us in the last 3 letters, one has a square, one has a star, and one has a circle. So starting with the square, if you take them scrambled up, RXM, GM, SU, BP, E, DSMN, and what they want you to do, and I should have put a key on here and I didn't. 2 forward, 1 back, repeat. So if you type out an alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, all the way across, just a regular alphabet, and you go 2 forward from R, you get a T. You go 1 back from X, you get a W. You go 2 forward from M, you get an O. Does that make sense? 1 back from G, you get an F. 2 forward from M, you get an O. 1 back from S, you get an R. 2 forward from U, you get a W. 1 back from B, you get an A. 2 forward from P, you get an R. And 1 back from E, you get a D. That's how you solve this one, and I hope that makes sense to everybody. And the solution turns out to be 2 forward from right key. Okay, I don't know what that means right now, but okay, 2 forward from right key. Gotcha. And then the star says -1 to all and then unscramble. So we take this, we just -1 to all of them. So -1 from S is R, -1 from T is S, -1 from G is F, -1 from U is T, -1 from J is I. And that spells something. It's scrambled. And now you just unscramble. So you need to figure out what RSFTI, what word does that go for? And so you need to sit and decipher, you know, that says first. NAD unscrambled says and. HROTUF unscrambled says fourth. FO unscrambled says of. And so this answer is first and fourth of Reggie's flower. Okay. I got that. And that brings us to the circle. And for the circle, you go every other. You just go every other. So RAECVSEXRHSFE becomes every other REVERSE. Every other, we stopped on the E, so every other, we skip the I, O, F, skip the Q, L, every other, A, S, T. So what that says is reverse of last three from third word on Ashley's gift. Okay. That one makes sense to me. So here it's all laid out. I still didn't understand two forward from right key, so I decided to skip it. First and fourth of Reggie's flower. We know that Reggie's flower is an aster. So the first letter of aster is A. The fourth letter of aster is E. Reverse of last three from third word on Ashley's gift. This is the gift that we were sent, but this was the gift that Reggie gave to Ashley. And they sent it to us. They wanted us to have it, but it happened to be part of the key. And so reverse of the last three from third word on Ashley's gift. Third word, to my favorite. The reverse of the last three would make it ETI. So then it dawned on me that everything we've gotten in the box was the answer was part of the clue. So the pin, the lapel pin that Frannie sent us, I went and looked at it and I realized, I mean, I guess I knew it when I looked at it, but it didn't dawn on me, two forward from right key. These are keys on a keyboard. If you have a Mac keyboard, you don't have a control key. I think you have a command key, but these are keys on a PC keyboard. So two forward from the right key. So if you look at your keyboard, two forward what am I saying? Oh, so two forward from the right key. So two forward from F, E, F, G, H, and on your keyboard, it's F, G, H. Two forward from that is H. So the password for Ashley's blog is HAEETI. So let us quickly go to the blog. Let me switch screens and we'll hit the blog and we'll get in there and move from there. So here we are back in KeepSafe Pro, and we're going to log into Ashley's blog and see where that gets us. Circular site blogs. Okay. So we type in the password. And hit enter. And remember, this is just the upload page. This is where you're supposed to upload to the blog. So they want us to select a file, pull the down drop, franniefiles.zip, upload. And this is cool. Like, I don't think it's really uploading anything, but they've given us this thing to make it look like it's doing an upload, which I thought was cool. And then we get this,
Frannie, what are you doing here? What was that sound just now?
Nothing. Work stuff. I thought I left something on your desk, some paperwork, and I was looking around for it, but I dropped my phone, and when I bent down to pick it up, I hit my head on your desk really hard. That was the noise. Sorry about that.
If that were true, your skull should have been cracked open. But you look fine.
Dumb luck, I guess.
It almost sounded like you were trying to force open my locked drawer. Did you open my drawer?
Kim, listen, I think we should sit down and talk about this.
So you're the one who's been updating Mendoza's blog.
It must be hard to run a campaign on your own while taking care of your mother. He made you do it, right? Did TFC make you kill Ashley and Lewis?
TFC didn't make me do anything.
You still made a choice.
I'm sorry, I don't have choices anymore.
Freeze! Put your hands up now!
Officer, I can explain.
Stand up! Keep your hands up! We're going to need a medic at the mayor's office. 5 Coulter Road.
Just let me explain.
Keep your hands up!
Ha, got her. Sorry, Kim. And you've received a new message. So let's see what our new message is. Oh, my goodness. Okay. New message. I hope you're okay, detective. Sorry if I scared you. After Kim attacked me, the police showed up and took her down. I think I put up a pretty good fight for someone who doesn't fight. I'm okay, promise. Going to be in the hospital for a little bit, but really, I feel fine, good even. They've got the good stuff here. Hey, we did it. Not that I doubted you or anything, but I mean, we actually did it. We solved the murder, we stopped the murderer, and we made it out alive. On top of that, we finished what Ashley started. We rock. Yay, team. Okay, so Kim is behind bars. I'm pretty sure they're charging her with 2 counts of first-degree murder of Ashley and Lewis and 1 count of attempted murder for me. Either way, they're holding her without bail pending her trial in the jail. They're holding her without bail pending her trial in the jail without bail. And I'm looking forward to testifying when the time comes. I'm going to make a great witness. It's a good reason to get a fancy outfit. The election has been suspended while the candidates are investigated, although no one knows who the hell is going to run now. It doesn't seem TFE is taking that all too well. No one's been able to find him since Kim was taken in, but there is a warrant out for him. The statute of limitations statute. It's been too long since the accident for them to charge him for leaving the accident and the DUI, but they can still get him on manslaughter. And that dude seriously sucks. Harold and Judith don't seem to be doing too hot either. I've already heard rumors of divorce. Sebastian's in trouble too. Tax evasion on those payments. That's how they got Capone, you know. I'm not sure what else to say, but thanks you. Thank you so much for all of your help. We couldn't have done this without you. I know Ashley would be grateful to this entire ordeal. I know Ashley would be... Why? All of a sudden. I know Ashley would be grateful too. This entire ordeal has been hellish. I just want to sleep for like a month, but I'm glad to have found you. I feel like saying I love you, but I'm pretty sure that's the meds talking. I'm gonna to sleep now. I'm sleepy. Thanks again, you. You're a super detective. I love you. And so that's sort of the conclusion of the case. That's how this wrapped up. I have a couple things I want to say. We're gonna jump back to out of Keep Safe Pro. So give me a second. Okay, the first thing I want to get to is Control F. So for those of you that don't know, on a web page or on a document, we're just sitting on the Honey Killer page. If you hit Control F, that opens up a little search box. And so this is how you can do a word search on a page. And see, I typed in donut, and everywhere that donut was listed on this website is highlighted. If you type in the word bundle, and everywhere where a bundle is lit, and I'm not advertising for Honey Killer, this was the easiest way to do it. So every place that it says bundle on this web page is highlighted. And you can do that in documents, but that's how Control F works. That's what Control F does, if anybody was curious. So now let's just jump right back to here. I wanted to, first of all, now it's being goofy. First of all, this is what the inside of the quill pen set looks like. The ink, the quill pen, the tips. It's kind of cool. Like, I know it's not an expensive one, but just the fact that even this inexpensive one, like they gave tips, different tips and stuff like that, I thought was pretty cool. But that brings us... Oh, I'm trying to think. I'm going to have a thoughts and reactions and review video for this, probably coming out Saturday or Sunday for Off the Record. But that brings us to our next mystery. And I made it a point, even though I scanned this stuff, not to look at any of it until right now. The day that I opened the box, I saw Michelle Gray's signature on the back, so I knew that she was involved. But I didn't read the paragraph. I didn't read the flyer at all. So this is a first. We're going to look at this together right now. I need your help, investigator, and so does your new client. Keep an eye out for a package from New Orleans. Michelle Gray. The mystic crew of Marie Laveau and its captain, Celestine Broussard, cordially request that you save the date for our annual Mardi Gras parade, February 17th at 9 p.m., late night Route C, Esplanade Avenue, New Orleans, Louisiana. Drinks and dancing to follow at the mystic crew of Marie Laveau Den. Formal invitation forthcoming. Okay, so it looks like our next mystery, and the name of the next mystery is Royal Street, if anybody's curious. So it looks like Royal Street is going to take place in New Orleans, if you will, during Mardi Gras. So that could be kind of cool. Like, hopefully some voodoo stuff would be neat. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, how that goes. The other thing that I want to say is that my plan is to, this is the last video for July. August's videos will start August 15th, and we're going to do 3 weeks in a row. We're going to try to do a box a week, because I really want to get caught up. Royal Street is the next mystery, and then if anybody cares to know, the one after Royal Street is Murder on Ice, and Murder on Ice is the one that Hunter Killer is currently sending out. July, I believe, is the second box. So if we can get through Royal Street in August and September, and we can get caught up to Hunter Killer, we'll do Murder on Ice in October and November, and by December 1st, we will be on whatever the brand new release is for December, the new mystery that's going to come after Murder on Ice. So I just wanted to give that update. Anyhow, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Please, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, leave them in the space down below. And I hope that everybody has a great week.